What's your view of what just happened 2 weeks ago in North Carolina, in Charlotte, with this young Ukrainian girl who's been stabbed in the train?
We don't know exactly what was going through that man's head when he did that. But this has been happening for many, many years in this country. A few years ago, we had a mother who stabbed her 3-year-old to death. She called us to tell us that she did that. It's a very serious problem in this country.
What do you think? What's your opinion? What's your view of what just happened 2 weeks ago in North Carolina, in Charlotte, with this young Ukrainian girl who's been stabbed in the train? Like I'm sure, like everybody else, everybody's talking about it now. It's everywhere. It's in the news. Even the president of the United States has exposed this problem, and he talked about that horrible crime. He took the time to about it. What's your opinion? Why that happened? Why we do have this disease of crime coming up more and more?
Yeah. So what I think is disgusting, I think it's very sad. I haven't even watched the video. I don't want to watch the video. It's not necessarily, I don't need to watch it. I'm sure what happens, right? What I will say is that I'm not surprised. And this is something, in my experience, is very common, really, this country. Yeah. It's just you don't see it on the news as often, right? Mental health is a serious, serious, right? And as of right now, the two of us are sitting here. We don't know exactly what was going through that man's head when he did that. We don't know what transpired before that. What we do know very clearly is this was an innocent woman
Yeah.
who boarded the right.
Yeah, but well, we know according to the the report and the crime that this person has, he was suffering from schizophrenia.
Sure.
Okay,
Believe it,
so
100%.
schizophrenia, it's a very serious disease. I mean, you gotta be under medication because you once suffer from schizophrenia, they knife and they stab. It's
Mhm.
very common. Okay, so we know a little bit is mental stability just by the news. We we're gonna find much more things down the road because now we became a nationwide and everybody's talking about it. But you say it's common. It's something that happened. People,
Yeah. I mean, look at all the school shootings we've had in the past 10 years, right? And almost all of them are related to mental health. They weren't in their right state of mind. They weren't thinking clearly. So this is nothing new, right? This is just something that was caught on camera. It's recent, it's fresh. It's completely unfortunate, obviously,
of
but I
course,
just think it's something it's shocking to the system to see that, right? Because it just happened.
yes,
But this has been happening for many, many years in this country, and it's a display. I mean, everything from active shooters to just I can tell you stories that we've handled in our department that are very
please,
similar.
yeah, yeah.
A few years ago, we had a mother who stabbed her 3-year-old to death.
Oh my God.
To death.
Oh no.
60
Can you
something,
imagine?
60 something times.
Oh,
And
that's
she
insane.
called us to tell us that she did that. So, you know,
This
what
is
do you say to that? There's no other it's no excuse, right?
you can't say nothing.
Right. You can't say this. So it's what I'm saying. When I say I'm not surprised, I'm not trying to be heartless or cold. I'm just the reality. It's a very serious problem in this country, mental health. And how do you spot it, right? How do you treat it? How do you get in front of that? I really feel for the family of that young victim that, it's been blasted all over the world right now and
No,
everyone has
this
to
is
see it.
insane. But
And it's hard to get closure like that.
what I'm surprised, I know those crimes happen because there's crazy people everywhere. But what shocked me the most is that person, the crime, the criminal, this guy, got arrested for 14 times for violence crime, and he was just released from a judge in court in North Carolina in Charlotte, and they let him go. They let him go, just make him sign a document that he promised that he's gonna appear in
Promise to appear, yeah.
promise to appear. And that's it. No bail, no bond, no nothing. And knowing that this man has been through so many crimes and knowing that he was suffering because he was evaluated by the court system that he had schizophrenia. So how they can let someone with living without supervision, because it's like a rehabilitation. You a drug addict, you go to rehab for 2 months, 3 months. When you are diagnosed for schizophrenia, you should go to a mental institution for a few months to get you set up with medicine.
Right.
They get
Get
you at
your
the level that you
yeah.
need to be safe, and for you to understand that you need to keep that medication to function. And they let him go.
Yeah, and a lot of times we have, situations where we deal with a patient or someone that's suffers from mental disorder, and family members will tell us, "Yeah, he hasn't or she hasn't taken the medication in months, or refuses to take medication,"
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, well,
that makes sense now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So who knows what this guy was, type of life he was living, if he had any family support, if he was on his own, and you know didn't want to take the medication, and I mean, who knows?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably not.
But then back to what you were saying, the judicial system, is, you know, I think plays a part in it as well. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we arrest the same people over and over and over and over again.
And
And
they let them go?
they are back on the street, they commit crimes, and it's like those crimes become progressive, over time. And a lot of cases that we see are they're juveniles, right? So we have small organizations that form, like little gangs that form, and they start, stealing cars, for example. It's a group of them, right? And these adults will uh, recruit, young males, young juveniles to
To
do their
commit
crimes
crime.
for them because they know they'll be out the next day, slap on the wrist, and they're back out, right?
Today, I think the focus of the state, not I'm not talking about the county, or the state should focus on how we can compress and reduce um, crimes in the street, because it's all about education too. You understand? Because, like you say, it's a lot of a teenager.
Hmm.
Okay, um, so there is a lot of work to do
Yeah.
on the street. There is
And a lot of work to do at home
at
because it
home,
starts at home.
because they start at home. You're right,
It starts at home.
but you can't force the parents to give a specific education. Maybe they don't want to. They don't have time. They don't. They're not interested to do it.
Right. Well,
They're not. Maybe it's not even interested. Maybe they're not even capable to do it. That's the problem.
and I understand that as well. A lot of some parents are single parents. They're working two jobs. They have a teenage son or daughter who's home alone most of the time. Really can't keep tabs on them, and you kind of hope for the best at that point,
Yeah.
right? And they get in with the wrong crowd, and it's over after that. There's really no control after that.
Of course.
We have tons of report. One thing that we've seen increase is we have a lot of runaways, juveniles that have been running away from runaway. They get into one argument with their parents, they're out, they're gone, and now they call the police. We got to call detectives out. We got to do a flyer. We got to, and then they're home within 12 hours, and that's a repeat. Those are what we call habitual runaways. We have those but we have to go respond every single time.
They don't stop, and they do it again and over.
And they keep doing it and doing it.
And it's also the boyfriend, the
Of
girlfriend
course,
involved, taking them out.
the adult boyfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
adult boyfriend.
Yeah.
Yes, I had those cases.
Yeah.
And I was looking for them. So it's very it's a tough work. It's tough work. Another question for you. What's your position today on Florida? No more. Everybody can carry a firearm without license. And of course, if you are committing crime in the past, you cannot even touch a firearm or
Right.
have a possession of firearm. But what do you think about that? That make your job harder, more dangerous? What's It's been a while, huh? That
Mm.
law, I think more than a year now, that law
Yeah.
change. And so we have a little experience,
Yeah, we have a little sample of
sample of
how we can judge what.
how that make a big difference for you as a police officer, your safety.
Yeah.
That's what I want to
Okay,
understand.
so that's a good question. Obviously, I can't speak for other law enforcement agencies. I can just speak for North Miami Beach and our police officers. The feedback that I've gotten, or lack of feedback, so no news is good news, right? So
Yes.
we haven't heard anything negative. which is good.
Okay.
So, it's kinda hard for me to answer that question. I can kinda what I guess I could tell you is that I haven't heard of any, negative feedback from that. So it's business as usual for us, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's a good thing, right? So if you have more people carrying now, right, that they're allowed to, um, it tells me that, these are responsible people that are
So they're
carrying.
good guy with a gun.
It seems that way,
Yeah.
right? But the bad guys with the guns are still there,
Yeah.
obviously, but that doesn't change our tactics, right? We still treat everything the same we were treating since we did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, before this law was enacted. So every time people have to understand, we take a traffic stop, it could be our last traffic stop, right?
Yeah.
Even if it's for a seatbelt, right? Because we don't know. And I know we get a lot of negative publicity about how we approach vehicles and I'll tell you right now, the North Miami Beach Police Department, we pride ourselves in officer safety and how our traffic stops. When I first got to North Miami Beach, I worked at 2 other agencies before. The traffic stops were a little different. We always called people out of the car. Of course, if it's a 90-year-old lady who, we're not do that, of course. But for our safety, to create that gap and that distance, and we do that, change our tactics when it comes to that. And I think as long as we remain professional and tactical, it's not going to affect the decision to now be a carry.
Me personally, when I get stopped in the traffic, I always give my firearm license with my ID. So I don't say anything right away. I give it them, and they see it, and they appreciate that I disclose
Of course.
my firearm, and that's it. But because I carry every day, so this is for me, it's normal. It's a routine.
Yeah, it's a routine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, that's it. The last question I'm gonna ask you, and it's concerning a little bit private investigation. Do you work with private investigator? Uh, do you share information with them sometimes, or do you take their cases when they come to you with a case? Mm, Do you
Yeah.
really take consideration of that?
Yeah, so when I managed the detective bureau, I managed the detective bureau for many years. A lot of our detectives would be approached by private investigators asking for information. They would identify themselves. Hey, I have a client. You're working a case with them involving fraud or burglary or whatever it is, maybe.
Mhm.
But most of the time, that case has been worked up to a point where the detective is no longer has any more leads. So someone like yourself or another private investigator will come into the picture and say, "Hey, I'm going to take it from here. What can you share with me? And what can I take from you that to help me in my investigation?" So I think it's a great partnership. I said before, I've encouraged people to hire private investigators to help them with their cases because a lot of, like we said before, a lot of it's civil in nature,
Mhm.
some is criminal, and private investigators sometimes have more time and give a little more effort to certain cases than we can.